At 7 years old, she was making dinner for her younger siblings. At 9, he was managing the family budget. At 12, she became her mother's therapist. They never asked for this responsibility. But childhood doesn't wait for permission to end. Today, we're diving into the psychology of children who grew up too fast and why the effects last a lifetime. Growing up too fast isn't just about missing out on playtime. It's a fundamental disruption of developmental stages that shapes how we see ourselves, relate to others, and navigate the world as adults. Psychologists call this parentification, when children take on adult roles and responsibilities far beyond their years. But what actually happens in the mind of a child forced to grow up before they're ready? Let's break it down. First, let's understand how this happens. Parentification typically occurs in a few key scenarios. When a parent is physically or emotionally absent due to illness, addiction, divorce, or work demands, children often step in to fill that void. They become the caregiver, the mediator, or the emotional support system. In families facing poverty or crisis, children may need to work, translate for non-English speaking parents, or manage household responsibilities just to survive. Sometimes it's emotional. A parent leans on their child for comfort, venting about adult problems, turning the child into a confidant or therapist. This is called emotional parentification, and it's just as damaging as the physical kind. The common thread: the child's needs become invisible. Their emotional world shrinks to accommodate everyone else's. So what happens psychologically when childhood is cut short? Hyper-responsibility and perfectionism. These children learn early that love is conditional, that they're valued for what they do, not who they are. As adults, they become overachievers, people-pleasers, constantly proving their worth. Rest feels like failure. Difficulty with boundaries. When you've spent your childhood managing other people's emotions, saying no feels impossible. These adults often find themselves in one-sided relationships, giving endlessly while their own needs go unmet. Anxiety and hypervigilance. Growing up in survival mode rewires the nervous system. The brain stays in a constant state of alert, always scanning for the next crisis, the next person who needs help. Relaxation becomes foreign. Identity confusion. Many people who grew up too fast struggle to answer the question, "Who am I?" Their entire identity was built around being needed, being responsible, being strong. Without that role, they feel lost. There's also a phenomenon called imposter syndrome on steroids. Despite being incredibly competent, they feel like frauds because deep down, they never got to develop a sense of self separate from their caregiving role. And here's the paradox: they're often extremely successful on the outside while feeling empty on the inside. High functioning, yet hollow. But here's the hopeful part. Awareness is the first step towards healing. Grieving the lost childhood is essential. This isn't about blaming parents or dwelling in victimhood. It's about acknowledging what was lost so you can reclaim what's possible now. Learning to receive is critical. People who grew up too fast are experts at giving but terrified of needing. Therapy can help rebuild the capacity to be vulnerable, to ask for help, to let others show up for them. Reparenting yourself means giving yourself the permission, compassion, and playfulness you never got as a child. It's letting yourself be selfish for the first time. It's choosing rest without guilt. It's discovering hobbies just because they're fun, not because they're productive. And perhaps most importantly, redefining your worth beyond what you do for others. You are valuable simply because you exist, not because of how helpful, how strong, or how selfless you are. Children who grow up too fast become adults who give too much. But healing is possible when we recognize that the little kid inside us is still waiting for someone to finally say, "You can rest now. You did enough. You were always enough." If this resonated with you, you're not alone. And more importantly, it's never too late to give yourself the childhood you deserved. Thanks for watching. Now you understand this, but what if I tell you the people who born in 90s are totally different? If you were born in 90s, then this video is for you. Just click buy. See you there.